before, you touched upon the situation with inflation across non-fish related inputs, I suppose, into a processor. When we spoke about that earlier in the year, it looked things are really increasing, but freight rates have continued to increase since, and they're talking of over $14,000 for a container from China to sort of major European ports now. It's just absolutely crazy. I just wondered how, obviously, you're not shipping huge volumes out of China because you've got the plant in Vietnam, but just wondered how this situation has been, impacting you, and whether you have a kind of a view on the outlook, or whether it's actually not really possible to, because it's just so, unpredictable now.
What we try to do is that we try to divide the inflation in what we will call speculative inflation and real inflation. Speculative inflation is, as an example, what's going on freight right now and electrical power right now, because that's not based in any you can say real economy growth or anything else. It's because of constraints and a lot of other things. Our view on speculative inflation is that it will last somewhere between 6 to 12 to 18 months, depending on the area. And then it will fall down to maybe not the level we had, but to somewhere closer to the level we had. You should also reckon that the prices that had been on a container from Asia to the US or from Asia to Europe has probably for the last decade been too low. If you look at how much money or how little money that container shipping lines made, it was not sustainable. And if you go back 20 years, prices were probably double of what they were about a year and a half ago. Obviously, they shouldn't be like, what did you say, $14,000 for a container, because that is going to make the market go away at some stage, because the consumers have to pay for this, and they will not buy it if it's everything is put into the pockets of Maersk or somebody else. So that will go away. When you talk about real inflation, I think also we are coming to an end of this zero inflation or 1% inflation environment. And what will then be the real inflation going forward? Somewhere between 2 and 2.5, not more than that. But you see salaries in the world, at least where we operate, start to go up. And when salaries start to go up, that's real inflation, because then you start sort of a good circle if you are employed. And that is probably what it should be, that there's probably money enough in the system out there that there should be a real inflation for a change. So we try to differ between the two, and it's very important when you start to talk with especially with your customers, because it's when you talk with them, there are some true inflation that we just need to get through. If we get that through, then business is going away, right? But when you talk about speculative inflation, it's a bit different, because maybe you will then make it completely visible. And then as soon as prices are then going down, hopefully to a more normal level, you will also ease on the pricing. But as you know, and I've said many, many times, the primary processing industry are in no place where we can afford these price increases. We have to forward them to the next man in line. So we are in for some interesting months.
What, in terms of negotiations with customers about this?
Prices need to go up, and quite a lot. So
the thing is, though, everyone's in the same situation, aren't they? So I guess it's
exactly.
Yeah. But interesting your comment that you think that really the freight rates should be settling maybe somewhere sort of in between where they are now.
No, much closer to where they were.
Right.
But if you take a number that I remember out of my head, which is just above $2,000 to Europe for a full.
It seems absurdly low, basically.
Maybe 3.5, 4 or something. I mean, it's anybody's guess, isn't it? And a lot of people will laugh, right, when I say this. but I don't think that at least they were sustainable, those prices that were that low. But if the container lines do what they normally did when market is good, then they start to order a lot of ships and a lot of containers, and 3 years from now,
the
you
crash.
can get for free. Yeah, but it's we think our industry is difficult. Think about this, that you have to have a horizon of 3 to 4 years. I don't predict what is happening 3 to 4 years.